From the ashes of ancient Persia, a new empire rose, proud, powerful, and destined for glory. The Sassanids forged a civilization of warriors and philosophers, of sacred fire and eternal beauty. They challenged Rome, shaped faith, and built monuments that defied time. This is the story of Persia's final empire, its rise, its greatness, and its fall into legend. Welcome to World Epic History, where the past lives again. In the early 3rd century AD, from the fading shadows of the Parthian realm, a new Persian power emerged, the Sassanid Empire. Founded by Ardashir I in 224 AD, it stood as the rebirth of ancient Persia, reclaiming the legacy once held by Cyrus the Great and Darius. With its capital at Ctesiphon on the Tigris River, the empire rose upon the principles of divine kingship, military strength, and Zoroastrian faith. Ardashir declared himself king of kings, restoring Persian unity and pride. His armies swept across the land, defeating rival dynasties and re-establishing Persia's dominance over the ancient Middle East. As the sacred fires of Zoroastrian temples burned once again, the world witnessed the return of a civilization destined to rival Rome itself. Ardashir I was more than a conqueror. He was a reformer who dreamed of rebuilding the Persian Empire's ancient greatness. He established a centralized government, reorganized provinces, and reintroduced royal ceremonies inspired by the Achaemenids. Religion and state became one, bound by Zoroastrian fire and royal authority. Ardashir believed that kings ruled by divine favor, their duty to maintain order and justice. His reforms brought prosperity and discipline, setting the foundation for 4 centuries of imperial rule. As artisans, soldiers, and priests united under his banner, the dream of Persia's eternal empire came alive once more. An empire born of fire, faith, and destiny. When Shapur I succeeded his father, he inherited not just a crown, but a destiny to challenge Rome itself. His reign was marked by bold military campaigns and monumental victories. Between 240 and 260 AD, Shapur fought 3 Roman emperors, Gordian III, Philip the Arab, and Valerian. At Edessa, he captured Valerian alive, a humiliation no Roman ruler had ever suffered. The triumph was immortalized in rock reliefs across Persia, where Shapur stood proud above his kneeling foe. His victories brought immense wealth and glory, yet they also began a long rivalry that would define centuries of Middle Eastern warfare, the struggle between the Roman and Persian empires for supremacy of the ancient world. At the heart of the Sassanid Empire burned the sacred flame of Zoroastrianism, the religion of light, truth, and cosmic balance. Every temple flame symbolized order over chaos, good over evil, Ahura Mazda over Ahriman. The Magi, or priestly class, wielded immense power, advising kings and shaping the moral code of society. Religious ceremonies honored fire, water, and the sun, the purest creations of the divine. The empire's laws were grounded in faith, and its cities centered around fire temples whose glow could be seen for miles. In this unity of religion and rule, the Sassanids found their strength and identity, believing their empire to be chosen by the divine to guard righteousness in the world. The Sassanid Empire was not merely a kingdom of warriors. It was a civilization of thinkers, poets, and architects. Cities like Gundishapur became centers of learning, where Persian, Greek, and Indian scholars exchanged knowledge. Medicine, astronomy, and philosophy flourished under royal patronage. Artists created silver plates engraved with hunting scenes and mythical creatures, while architects raised domes that echoed eternity. Trade along the Silk Road brought wealth, silk, and spices, connecting Persia with the world. This age of enlightenment showed the empire's other face, a world guided not by conquest alone, but by culture, intellect, and timeless beauty. In 531 AD, Khosrow I, known as Anushirvan, the just descended the throne and ushered in the golden age of the Sassanid Empire. Unlike many rulers before him, Khosrow valued justice over conquest. He reformed taxation, reduced corruption, and created a fair system of governance that served both nobles and commoners. He established schools, hospitals, and academies, turning Persia into a beacon of learning. In the great city of Gundishapur, scholars translated Greek and Indian texts, blending knowledge from across the world. Khosrow's reign became a symbol of wisdom and prosperity, remembered by Persians for centuries as a time when the empire shone brightest. Under his rule, ancient Persia reached its peak in art, philosophy, and law, the true embodiment of enlightened kingship. For centuries, the Roman and Persian empires clashed across deserts and mountains, each claiming dominance over the ancient world. Under Khosrow I and Emperor Justinian, war once again consumed Mesopotamia and Syria. Great fortresses rose along the frontiers, their walls echoing with the thunder of siege engines. The battles were fierce, but balanced, neither empire could destroy the other. Yet through these conflicts, a strange respect grew between them, for both saw in their enemy the reflection of imperial greatness. Trade, diplomacy, and even shared science survived amid the bloodshed. The Roman-Persian wars defined the ancient Middle East, shaping orders, faith, and power for generations to come. The Sassanid Empire thrived on trade that connected the East and West. Through the Silk Road, caravans carried silk from China, spices from India, and glassware from Rome. Ctesiphon became a crossroads of civilizations, a city alive with merchants, music, and color. Persian artisans crafted textiles and jewelry, admired from Byzantium to the Indus Valley. The empire taxed trade routes, gaining immense wealth that fueled its palaces and armies. But more than gold, the exchange brought ideas, philosophies, inventions, and art that enriched Persian culture. The Sassanids became masters of commerce, standing at the heart of the ancient world's economy, linking continents through the desert winds of history. The Sassanids built monuments that defied time. The Arch of Ctesiphon, known as Tak Khosra, rose 37 meters high, the largest brick vault in the ancient world. Palaces shone with mosaics, gold, and marble, reflecting the divine power of kings. Reliefs carved into cliffs showed emperors crowned by Ahura Mazda, while intricate metalwork captured scenes of royal hunts. Their architecture blended function with symbolism, combining spiritual geometry with majestic scale. These creations inspired later Islamic and Byzantine builders, leaving an imprint that would echo through centuries. In every stone and arch, the Persians expressed their belief that beauty was a reflection of divine order. Behind the splendor, the empire's foundations began to crack. Endless wars drained its treasury, and heavy taxes burdened farmers and merchants. Nobles grew powerful, while commoners faced hardship. Religious intolerance deepened divisions. Zoroastrian priests persecuted Christians, Jews, and Buddhists, driving unrest across the provinces. The once unified empire became a land of suspicion and rebellion. Khosrow's reforms faded, and corruption spread within the court. As the light of Persia's golden age dimmed, the empire's strength began to fade from within, not by swords of enemies, but by its own decay. The seeds of decline had been sown in the very soil of its greatness. Khosrow II, known as Parviz the Victorious, ascended the Sassanid throne in 590 AD, embodying both grandeur and ambition. His reign began amid turmoil, yet his charisma restored stability. With help from Byzantine Emperor Maurus, he reclaimed his throne after a rebellion, only to later turn against his ally. Under Khosrow II, the Sassanid Empire reached its greatest territorial height, stretching from the Indus River to the Mediterranean. His armies captured Jerusalem in 614 AD, carrying away the true cross, a trophy that stunned the Christian world. Ctesiphon glittered with immense wealth, and Persian banners waved triumphantly over ancient lands. Yet behind the glory lay arrogance and political intrigue, shadows that would soon devour the empire's brilliance. By the early 7th century, Persia and Byzantium were locked in a cataclysmic war that consumed nations. For decades, the Sassanids triumphed, conquering Egypt, Syria, and Anatolia. But the rise of Emperor Heraclius changed everything. From 622 to 628 AD, Heraclius struck deep into Persia, burning cities and desecrating fire temples. The war exhausted both empires, draining resources and lives. At the decisive Battle of Nineveh, the Persian army was crushed. Heraclius marched to Ctesiphon, and the sacred fire of Ahura Mazda flickered under foreign threat. In its desperation, Persia overthrew Khosrow II, the mighty king executed by his own son. The ancient struggle of Rome and Persia had ended, leaving both bleeding and vulnerable. The war left the empire shattered, and worse was to come. In 628 AD, a deadly plague swept through Persia, killing half the population, nobles, priests, and soldiers alike. Cities fell silent, fields went untended, and despair spread like smoke. Within 4 years, more than a dozen kings rose and fell as civil war tore the empire apart. Greed replaced order. Loyalty crumbled into chaos. The mighty bureaucracy of Khosrow I disintegrated, and local governors ruled like petty kings. The Persian heartland, once glowing with fire temples and learning, now echoed with famine and fear. The empire that had defied Rome was dying, not by invasion, but by disease, betrayal, and exhaustion. In 633 AD, a new force emerged from the Arabian deserts, the armies of Islam. United by faith and discipline, the Muslim warriors under Caliph Abu Bakr marched into Sassanid lands. The Persians underestimated them, calling them mere tribesmen, yet their courage burned brighter than steel. Battles at Walaha, Alay, and Al-Qadisiyah shattered Persian defenses. The old generals could not match the zeal of their foes. One by one, provinces fell, and the desert winds carried the echo of a rising empire. The fire temples dimmed as mosques rose in their place. The Sassanids, exhausted from decades of war, faced a new power that would forever reshape the Middle East. In 637 AD, under the command of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, the Muslim army reached the gates of Ctesiphon, the heart of the Persian Empire. The grand palaces of Khosrow shimmered in the sun, but they would soon burn. After fierce fighting along the Tigris, the Persian defenders fled, leaving behind treasures and thrones. The Arch of Ctesiphon, once a symbol of might, now stood silent amid ruins. The sacred fires that had burned for centuries were extinguished. For the first time in history, Ctesiphon fell, and with it, the soul of the Sassanid Empire. Persia's glory had turned to dust, swept away by the winds of a new faith. Yazdegerd III, the last king of the Sassanid Empire, ascended the throne as a boy amid chaos. Crowned in 632 AD, he inherited not an empire, but a collapsing realm haunted by war and plague. As Arab armies advanced, Yazdegerd fled from city to city, from Ctesiphon to Ray, from Isfahan to Merv, seeking allies who never came. His generals fought bravely, but without unity. Betrayed by nobles and abandoned by fortune, Yazdegerd's dream of restoring Persia died with him. In 651 AD, he was murdered near Merv, marking the end of 4 centuries of Sassanid rule. His death was more than a political fall. It was the twilight of ancient Persia, the final echo of an empire once glorious as Rome itself. With Yazdegerd's death, Zoroastrian Persia lost its divine protector. The sacred fires that once symbolized Ahura Mazda's presence were extinguished across the land. Temples were abandoned, their priests scattered or converted. Many Persians embraced Islam, drawn by its message of equality and renewal, while others fled east to preserve their faith. Those exiles became the Parsis of India, carrying the flame of Zoroaster to foreign shores. Though the empire fell, the religion survived in whispers, in rituals, in fire altars, and in memory. The end of the Sassanids was not the end of Persia's soul. From the ashes of faith, a culture endured, glowing faintly like embers beneath the desert wind. Though conquered, Persia did not vanish. Under the new Islamic Caliphate, Persian administrators, scholars, and poets rose to prominence. The Arabic script blended with Persian language, giving birth to a rich literary tradition. The wisdom of Sassanid courts shaped Islamic governance. The philosophy of Zoroastrian dualism echoed in theology and art. Cities like Nishapur and Shiraz became centers of culture and poetry, heirs to Ctesiphone's legacy. The empire had fallen, but its mind lived on, refined, transformed, and eternal. In every verse of Persian poetry and every arch of Islamic architecture, the soul of ancient Persia whispered, "Empires fall, but civilization endures." The ruins of the Sassanid Empire still stand, silent yet unbroken. The Arch of Ctesiphon rises like a memory carved in the sky, the last witness of a vanished age. The empire's influence reached far beyond its fall, inspiring Byzantine art, shaping Islamic architecture, and preserving the Persian identity that endures today. The Sassanids had dreamed of eternal order, and in a way, they achieved it not through power, but through culture. Their vision of justice, beauty, and faith continues to burn within Iran's heart, a flame that no conquest could extinguish. Even in ruin, the Sassanid spirit endures, proud, eternal, and timeless. The story of the Sassanid Empire is one of glory and tragedy, of kings and conquerors, of wisdom and ruin. From Ardashir's first triumph to Yazdegerd's lonely death, Persia's fire burned bright across the centuries. It was an empire of soldiers and scholars, of temples and art, of power guided by faith. Though the Sassanid Empire fell, Its spirit lived on in every poem, every dome, every dream of Iran. The flame that once blazed in Ctesiphon now burns in history itself, unending, eternal, remembered. This was not merely the fall of a kingdom, but the transformation of a civilization, the immortal fire of ancient Persia, shining through the ages.